So with that, ladies and gentlemen, I won't go through a lengthy introduction to share with us how to create a conducive online learning environment at home. We have Dr. Queena Lee-Chua, faculty from the departments of mathematics and psychology. Good afternoon, Doc Queena.
Hi, Chris. Thank
Hi,
you.
ma'am. I'll turn the floor over to you.
Yeah, I will just make this very quick because parents have been privately chatting with me now. And hello, parents. I don't know most of you, but many of you are doing a private chat. So yes, I'll start. Hopefully I can do this within 30 minutes or less, and then you can do the questions after. Many of these questions and concerns actually came from students, as Chris said. I would like to acknowledge Dr. Marlu Vilches. She's the Vice President of Loyola Schools and one of the kindest people I know. Marlu was emailing me some of the student concerns, and they dovetailed with the concerns my own students tell me. So these are the main student concerns: motivations, distractions, mental health, assessment, family problems. I will try to go through all of them one by one. Okay, so first let's start with lack of motivation. Many of the students say that they're not as motivated to study now. And we were talking this morning with some students about willpower. So the most important thing, parents, is willpower often does not work. We cannot often rely on willpower alone. The quotes are actual quotes from students. Several students are waking up at noon. How can they do morning classes? Okay, motivation should be made a habit. And the way to do this is to structure your home environment. There are several tips in some books that we did. I will go through some books later. Most important, discuss a doable routine for all. Students are complaining to me that the parents say that their work takes precedence over classes. Okay, I agree, perhaps because the parents' work we need work to be able to pay tuition, etc. But please, parents, do not mandate. You have to call the whole family and tell them, these are the things we need to do. So let us set a routine. Please do it right now after the talk. On Monday, classes will start. Many teachers will go online live with their students. Not all, but many will. I will. So if the class is 9:30, for instance, perhaps you can work out now a system wherein maybe for the first day or two, maybe perhaps your student can take priority, because we will not do a lot of live classes anyway. There are just certain classes which are important for us to do. So the routine has to be done, not from above, not from parents saying we're more important than you, but it has to be done with the cooperation of everyone. It will not be ideal, but I will tell you later a story about a public school person and how they did it. Space for each. Many students are worried that they will not have their own private space. We cannot do much about this, but other students say I should emphasize earphones. Earphones can make you have private. I don't use earphones, but my students tell me earphones are not expensive. Many of them cost less than 500 pesos. So maybe you have to invest in earphones now. Time for each person. Please monitor the sleep habits of your students. Parents, please. I know they're college students. Many are night owls, but the horror story students are telling me now, their sleep cycles are very much awry. Meals, if you can, eat dinner together. Breakfast and lunch might be harder, even if you're in the same house, but please eat dinner together when you can. Exercise. Some students exercise still, but most do not. I should take my own advice. I had back-to-back webinars and I actually got sick. So I have to exercise, and I know students have to. They cannot be in front of the screen the whole time. Structure provides a sense of safety. Many students are now feeling anxious and depressed because of the pandemic. The most important thing for them to do is to have a sense of structure. And this is also one reason I'm happy, parents, for those of you who are still not convinced that you want your students to enroll. I'm not here to sell Ateneo. I'm going to be very frank, but But if your students are just going to take online classes in Coursera, which 11 students told me they want to do, I told them, fine, you can get the content, but the structure will be very different. And without structure, students will not find a sense of safety. Students will also not be as motivated to learn. So one reason why we're still enrolling, even if Coursera is only $50, yes, I was told, is because we are still a school and we need a community. I will talk more about that later. Some parents I've talked to tell me that they don't have enough rooms for the kids. Okay, we're not saying that one child should be in one room. If you have 4 children and they're all in with their own gadgets in the rooms, that's a bit difficult. But let me just tell you, I don't have the answers here, but let me just tell you about a public school tricycle driver and his family. I was doing a webinar with a private school and they were adopting a public school. And during the webinar in May, I was very touched by the story of, his name is actually Manong Ben. And Manong Ben was sharing with us that he has four kids, all of them in the public schools, all of them in grade school. And the entire family only has one old computer. So I was asking him what they would do come August. And he says, kakayanin namin. And he says what they will do, they will rotate the computer among all the kids. And I was highly touched by that, because if many of our more vulnerable families are willing to do that sacrifice, I was telling my students who are complaining that the house is noisy, their mother's voice is loud, they do not have privacy. I told them, look, you have the luxury of having multiple gadgets. Not all of you, but many do. And the sacrifices you're going to make are very minor compared to the ones other people have to do. These are students. So parents, discuss the structure with everyone. Not everybody will be equally happy, but I'm very certain you'll find a routine that's workable for all. Next problem, gadget use. Parents, we are not policemen or women. They are college students. We cannot, unlike grade school, we cannot keep on peeking over their shoulder, and we should not do it. By this time, students have to learn. They should already know how to self-regulate. This is from a student who was doing something this summer. So what can we do? These are all from students. I love this. I don't use this, but many Ateneo students tell me this is good. They actually have timers and they have apps. iPhone has this certain app which is called Screen Time. The students tell me frankly that if they cannot stop surfing and they cannot stop screen time, they will there are apps that can make them control, that can do the control for them. So they would willingly subject them to the apps. For instance, they will say, surfing, only 2 hours a day. So there's actually an app there. Your kids will know. So tell them to use those apps. Several students tell me this is actually good. Their grades went up because they did this. There are many, our materials can be downloaded and printed, and I'm still encouraging some of my students to go and get math textbooks from the Loyola Schools bookstore, which will be open on certain days. So we don't have to do online all the time. Parents, gently remind, please avoid nagging. I don't know how you can do it, but just avoid nagging, screen time, and the number of devices and windows open. Most of the time, they have something like 6 to 8 windows. Perhaps they can do that, but 20 windows is too much. So that will be really distracting. The blue light, I was talking to my students about this. The blue light of the gadgets disrupts the melatonin production, which can disrupt sleep. So students have very difficult sleep cycles now. If you can, tell them to just, most students say they cannot turn off the phone even when they sleep. Fine. So I tell them they should just place the phone in a table outside, the room. Of course, some of them say then now they have to wake up and do it. But whatever it is, the blue light is disruptive. All students tell me, parents, this is funny, that parents are very strict with them about gadgets, but parents themselves are not good with gadgets. So please, my students, all students say, please talk to our parents and tell them they themselves have to stop posting and stop doing, all that stuff. You know what I mean. So, and there are real life strategies, again, from another book, which I will talk about later. Strengthen study habits. Yes, we can study hard, but we should study smart. Studying smart, how to do, not to do, avoid cramming, start with complex subjects rather than the easy subjects first. There are tons and tons of tips here. And there's some books there which I've actually done it together with the strategies. So I don't have time to do this, but I can give you the links afterwards. I want to tell you this. My students don't want you to know, but give you the links. I think you need to know. I want to tell you this. My students don't want you to know, but I think you need to know. Okay, I'm repeating somehow. You see, can someone? Okay. Anyway, please do not. Parents. Some students tell me. Can some of you because I'm getting an echo. Thank you. Okay, thank you. My students say that some parents already are going to give them medications for ADHD, even if they do not have ADHD, so that, to make them focus. Medications such as Adderall, etc. Parents, I beg you, please don't do this. Please don't do this. Please also don't buy energy drinks. I'm going to say it. I'm very sorry if one of the parents here is the manufacturer of this energy drink, but two of my students got addicted. Their hearts were palpitating. One of them I had to send to the hospital. So I'm sorry. I'm hoping something like Monster and Monster. The title is, the energy drink is Monster. And then there's, I think it used to be Red Bull. Parents, I'm begging you, please do not give your kids ADHD meds like Adderall and energy drinks like Monster, even if they want to, even if they say they need that to pull all-nighters. Parents, please. We can do this without chemicals, unless they are diagnosed. If they're really diagnosed by a developmental pediatrician and a psychiatrist, go ahead. But if they're not diagnosed, just because you want them to get high grades, don't do it. Parents, please. Okay, so next one. Catch depression early. I'll go to mental health. Depression is genetic and situational. In severe cases, medications, you will need a psychiatrist for this one. Therapy, you will need a psychologist for this one, are both needed. Parents, depression is an illness. It is not anything, it is not weak will. It is not something, it is not kagaguhan. It is not laziness. It is not a moral failing. Students have cried on me saying that their parents don't understand. For some people, depression got worse, yes. But, and this is what the media is not talking about, so I decided to write about it. But you know, there's good news. For some students, their depression and their anxiety became better. So it is not true that everybody is getting worse. I will tell you about one boy now, and he's listening here today with his mother. I will change all his identification. Let's call him Jim. So Jim is an Ateneo student who has been seeing me for 2 years. He has been diagnosed with depression, and he has been taking antidepressants for the past 7 years. He's from the Ateneo High School all the way up to college. Jim, I was worried about Jim during the pandemic, but I was totally happy when Jim and I chatted, because Jim told me that he doesn't feel the urge. I have Jim's permission to say all this. He doesn't have the urge to harm himself anymore, which is the greatest thing, because he says, Mom, everyone is in the same boat. All of us are anxious. I'm not the only one that's feeling bad. And Mom, you know, I don't feel bad anymore. Exact words, all of this. What he did was, he says, he's been watching something called MasterChef Australia. So And when he watched it, he decided he will go back to cooking. He used to cook, but when he got depressed, he didn't cook anymore. So he was inspired to cook, and he started cooking. He says his sister, who's very irritable, actually loved his cooking, and his mother praised him for the cooking. And before long, the neighbor wanted his cooking, and the cousins wanted his cooking. And he said, Mom, you know, I love this. You know, he found a sense of purpose. And of course, I was so excited that I said, Jim, I'm very sure perhaps that maybe you've thought about making it a business, which is a wrong move. He said, Mom, my mother said I should start charging for my cooking, but no, I don't want to make it into a business. I don't want to post anything online. He said, Mom, there's so many people who are posting whatever they're cooking or they're baking. Mom, I don't like it. That's not what, in fact, I don't want to put anything online because I'm going to stress out about how many likes, how many whatever comments. Mom, I just want to cook for the people I love. And that's totally, totally fine. So he's feeling good. He found a sense of purpose, which he lacked before. And you don't have, it doesn't have to be fancy. But I'm so happy with it. I told him he cannot stop his medications. So he's still taking antidepressants. But he's such a different person from a few years back. And I wish the media will focus on the good news because not everybody is mentally ill now. Many are, but some people are not. So parents, let's avoid the victim mentality. But let's also avoid, I think the thing with the social media is it's very, very good, but if you have to keep on, Jim is right. If you have to keep on thinking about likes, etc., you will not feel as good. So I wrote about Jim today in my column. Communicate openly with your children. For depression, please, open communication. This one is a request from many teachers. When students are in class, we teachers are able to see them, how they move, their reactions, their faces. Right now, because we are not even going to check attendance, we cannot be as ready to deal with whatever problems students may have. And sometimes these problems are urgent. So parents, we need your help. You have to be the one to tell the guidance office about this one. We cannot be as proactive now. We want to, we will try to, but we cannot. And parents, in the end, your role models, please go beyond the self. Father Nebres, former president of Ateneo, I quote him a lot. In the end, for my most depressed students, the only thing that can lift them out after everything has failed is for them to stop focusing on themselves and on their illnesses. But even in the midst of depression, go out and go beyond the self and help other people. So parents, if you can model this, if your children can see that you're also helping other people, that you're also not scared, that you're not as anxious, that you're not moaning about government inadequacies or something, they will take. Many of the students tell me they're worried more about you, and that breaks my heart. Because they're not supposed to be, okay. Troubled parent-child relationships. Some families have bonded. These are real quotes. Bonds have frazzled. This is very, very funny. School is an escape, but they cannot escape the house now. So be patient, parents, please. I know that it's difficult to deal with teenagers. Some parents tell me when they will try to talk to their kids, the kids will say, what did you do today? Nothing. So I know that can be hurting for parents. But parents, you are the parent. I will have to tell you this. You may have to be more patient than your kids. Communicate openly, unconditional love. We have so many strategies in the books. Assessment, I will go to that. Okay, assessment. Students say the cheating thing. Okay, many students now are actually thinking of ways to cheat online. I'm not happy with them, but they tell me this is what they say. Everybody cheats. I told them not everybody cheats. Okay, parents, please share your own stories about upholding character. Your kids have to know this. Some students tell me, Mom, the politicians cheat. The businessmen cheat on their taxes. So everybody cheats. So if we don't cheat, lugi kami. I don't know what to say. I just tell them this. So parents, what I'm going to do is I'm going to minimize tests. So I don't even want to think about cheating. That's basically it. Okay, next one. This one is in the primer. The one that Chris Castillo was talking to you about, this was in the primer. But many students keep on asking me this, Mom, we're Ateneo, but the quality will go down. Okay, what is the answer? Will Ateneo's quality go down now? I cannot give you a yes or a no, but teachers will focus on the essentials. In mathematics, in Math 10, instead of doing 6 modules, which we used to do, we have decided we're just going to do 4. Will the quality go down? Not really. What does that mean? We cannot do chapters 5 and 6. Yes. But that may give us more time to do chapters 1 and 4. So I don't know exactly what we mean by quality, but I always prefer to have quality over quantity. So if we can do chapters 1 to 4 very well, rather than doing 1 to 6, which we used to do on the surface, I will go with 1 to 4. Attendance will not be checked. Teachers will be more compassionate. This is varying degree. Some teachers are more compassionate than others because we still have academic freedom, but we're encouraged to be more compassionate now. I personally will continue to help students meet expectations because somehow my students usually live up to it. And I know they will live up to it now. And I know this is still the Ateneo. So parents, please, the Ateneo quality will still be there in many, many ways. So please, that I think I can, please perhaps still think about enrolling with us. Because we've been preparing for this. This is what I tell students. And they normally live up to this. Growth is not easy, but you'll feel really competent when you perform well rather than asking for bonus points. I've never given bonus points in my life, really, in whatever course. Never needed. Stress, fear, grief. We cannot avoid stress, but we can learn to manage it. Students always want to avoid it. We cannot avoid stress. In fact, it's not even good to avoid stress. Somebody who totally has no stress will not do well. The best students have stress in the middle. There's a nice thing in the psychology wherein you have this Yerkes-Dodson law, wherein the best stress is actually not too much but not too little. Too little stress scares me because you will not do well. Okay, fear. Fear, parents, is normal in the pandemic. It is normal. There is nothing wrong with you if it's just fear for the pandemic. I do not think that you need to see a psychiatrist yet. But I may be wrong. So you can look at other resources and use your common sense. What can we do? Avoid obsessing about things beyond our control. 2 students cry on me. I've been dealing with them for 3 weeks, crying and crying that they tell me that the US mortality rates are going up. They tell me that Filipino mortality rates are also bad. Why is the quarantine lifted? I said, look, this is beyond us. And if you keep on crying about US mortality rates, there's nothing much we can do. So parents, and they tell me, that's because my father says this every day. The father, stop it. Stop. I know you want to educate your economics child, but not what we can do, helping neighbors, donating to frontliners, honing skills. I told the students, instead of thinking about mortality rates, go online and learn something new. That's better. Very important. Fact check the chain messages. I'm not on Viber, but I see so many of the chain messages. Many of them are fake news and they cause undue anxiety. So that's one. Grief over loss of friends and family. I lost 2 of my friends in the pandemic. One is a frontliner and one is a close friend, and I'm still grieving. So I cry when I think about it. So do not rush grief. It is normal. Be there, hug your children. But right now, everything is very raw. So I know it will take me a while to stop grieving, if ever. So parents, Go back, hug your children. For the students who are listening now, it is okay. You cared about the person passed away. Is life fair? No, life is not fair. And life is difficult. But wouldn't you rather be grieving? Because for me, grief is a sign that you cared for somebody. So students, I'm addressing students now because I see your faces. The last one was just 2 hours ago. Students, it is okay to grieve because grieving means that you cared for someone. And I know it hurts, but I know you would rather grieve and hurt rather than not care. Sorry, I'm going to cry. Okay. Rather than not care about people at all. So this morning, this young lady was crying and told me, Ma'am, ang sakit-sakit. Kasi, ang sakit-sakit. And I cried with her, but I told her, alam mo, masakit kasi mahal mo. So kung mahal mo, di ba mas okay na nagmahal ka? Would you, she told me, Mom, I don't want to care anymore. I said, no, that's not you. That's not you. Part of caring means we will experience pain. And we're human. And students, I know you have so much pain now. But you're alive. And I love it that you care this much. So students, no rush. Your parents are also worried about you. You're very worried about each other. So go ahead and grieve. I am grieving for 2 close friends. So go ahead and grieve. I'm sorry, I didn't think I would cry. So Lifeline. This is the book I was telling you about. For many of mental health is a huge issue now. I told you there's positive news, but I also know that there's a lot of negative things. This is a book we wrote. It's not just me. It's 5 Ateneo clinical psychologists. Most of them are in the psych faculty now. I'm very, very proud of them. We did this years ago. Warning signs. Parents always say they don't know what to say, what not to say. There's scripts here for you. There are resources. These are the chapters. First chapter, depression. Second chapter, self-harm. Third, anxiety, grief, natural disaster. They're available in Anvil as an ebook. Many students have downloaded it, but you can get it from Loyola Schools Bookstore. You can also get it from Anvil. These are some of the other things. I was told by the grade school and the high school that when Father Ben was president, he would actually go on stage in your parent orientation and wave the book around and tell them to actually follow the strategies. I looked at the strategies hold even now. These strategies were gotten from the top Ateneo high school students, and they are strategies on structure, on study habits, on communication. So if you feel that you need help with this, again, many Ateneo parents have this in the grade school and the high school. So for the college, if you feel that you need this, get it from Anvil. Some of the other ones, for the students like these 2 books because they're very short and they have all this. Study Smart strategies are here. Start the school year right. Again, they're available as ebooks. This is not very much applicable to college. For parents with grade school kids, this one is good. High school kids, these 2 are good. Okay, I know that many of you have questions. I can anticipate. You might say, how can we develop a study habit? How can we communicate? How can we do all this? Okay, I'm very tired of doing webinars and classes are starting soon. One last webinar will be on July 11th. 2 p.m. I'm very happy that we'll want to have room for the other people who are going to talk. So that's it, parents. Thank you, and God bless us all.
There was also we know what others are going through that way. So before I share some questions with Doc Queena, again, I'd like to ask everyone to put on the chat, whether to everyone or you may message it directly to me if you have some questions, and we'll select some that we can accommodate. Ma'am, I'll start with one. One of our parents said, well, despite all encouragement for my child to have a schedule, to be more organized, to follow a routine, to eat with us as a family, all right, still chooses to play computer games. All right. And we're told not to police the use of computers, but what will happen? They stay up until 3 a.m. So, ma'am, what could we say about this?
That one is a problem not just during the pandemic. That one is also a problem even before. The best way is, if you don't want to get the entire book, the book Growing Up Wired, which is quite thick, is not just written by me, and there are 4 of us authors, but it includes essays and testimonials from Ateneo students and Miriam students. We ran through so many students. These students put in their own thoughts about playing games and social media. So I tried that with the Ateneo High School, not the college, with the Ateneo High School, who had the same complaint. Because sometimes our kids will not listen to parents, but they might listen to their fellow kids. So one of them is Miriam, all their names are there. It's a Miriam lady who used to be addicted to Facebook, who finally stopped, and she said why and how she did it. Another is from an Ateneo guy. Chris, kilala natin to kasi nag-graduate siya from here. So, sinabi niya na ang daming estudyante, kasi meron siyang maraming batchmates na bumagsak kasi hindi sila maka-off ng Dota. Dota was the one that was killing them before. So, when the 2 students read this, they were so scared because it came from their own students. So, for the parent, maybe try to see online, but go through those essays by students in the book and let your child read the essays from their own peers rather than coming from us. And there are also so many strategies from parents there in that book, but I will go with first what the kids say. I hope it helps. That's a difficult one.
Thank you, Dr. Queena. Ma'am, apart from the books being available though in the LS bookstore, where else are the books available, particularly online stores? Would you know, ma'am?
The online link will be Anvil Publishing.
Anvil Publishing.
Anvil Publishing. Many of the parents would prefer to just download the ebook because they're scared. But Anvil also has, I think, because I never, Anvil also can deliver books to parents now that it's the GCQ. So I've given kasi 21 webinars eh. So marami na akong nasabi. So some parents will say, masusunod na ebook, masusunod na. Loyola Schools Bookstore is very good, but for some of them, maybe just download Anvil Publishing.
Thank you, Dr. Queena. To the parents, no, thank you. I'm now sort of getting flooded with messages privately sent. No, some are comments though. A lot of people are thanking you, ma'am.
Oh, welcome.
Yeah, and I'll be skipping some of the questions that are not directly related to Dr. Queena's talk, no, but I'm selecting some that are. For example, ma'am, we have a parent who has 2 children who stayed in Ateneo. They're 2 years apart, and we're staying at the dorm before. They're thinking they might even continue staying in the dorm because, to quote, it is more conducive for study. What do you think, ma'am?
Yes, good idea. I have 2 students who are staying in the dorm and they say the same thing. Go ahead. And they're not at very many people. I think the safety is pretty good. So yes, parent, go ahead. The students say it's more conducive. Yes.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Queena. Again, there are several questions or comments here. This session is being recorded and we will be uploading this session again. And so technically, you will not be needing the PowerPoint deck per se of Dr. Queena because it was being shown anyway. Plus, in watching this video, you get to be part of the discussion again. So please stand by when and where it will be released. I'll go to some questions again related to the talk. Um, there was one, ma'am. How can Ateneo categorically make a statement about cheating, right, in the online setting, so that we get reinforced, that value?
Uh,
What are your thoughts on that, ma'am?
I think in the primer, nasa primer, di ba, Chris? I think it might be it's either in the primer or in the tips sheet we were given today. But I read it
Yes.
today. Parents, you're right. Uh, perhaps, Chris, that's a good idea. We can quote the student handbook on how cheating is so, we frown on it. But parents, we need you to reinforce this. We really need you to reinforce this because many of us will not be giving our quizzes will not be maybe on the same time. Students already say that they can cheat during Viber. They have strategies of getting the best student to take the test first. Then they will ask the answers. They have so many. One student said this. We have many creative ways of cheating, and if we really want to do it, nobody can stop us. So, uh, parent, I understand it. We teachers are very not happy about it, but I have decided it's very exhausting. Parents, you can do this. Go and Google Canvas cheating. You will see multiple links from the US advising people how to cheat on Canvas. So we know it, the students know it, and you will know it. So parents, yes, I agree that the school should do a category. That's a very good idea, Chris. Can the admin work on that? Maybe emblazon it in bold and put it somewhere na, parang ano na. But I personally will make my tests different. I will actually go with oral exams. I will go with oral exams so that I can minimize cheating and still have a good idea which students will. I really don't want to play bad cop. But Chris, that's a very good idea. Thank you for the parents. We will reinforce it, but we need you, please, at home to reinforce it as well. Please, please, please tell your kids. And please tell your kids you will no longer cheat on your tax returns because they tell me that. So, tell them you will start not cheating on the tax returns and they will also start not cheating in class. Maybe that's a good deal.
Thank you, Doc Queena. We model our leadership.
Yeah, di ba?
Related to that, ma'am, I'll just point out a comment there that what one of our parents said, then perhaps the tests should be more analytical than just types that are based on memorization. And Doc Queena can comment on that, no? But easily I could say, yes, ma'am, sir, that is the plan, that is the intention, where the critical thinking is what we will tap into more than just the rudimentary memorization of things. But Doc Queena, more to say about it?
I will do it for my classes, but I don't know what other teachers will do because it also depends on the subject matter they have. For instance, maybe, I don't know because I don't teach this. There could be subjects where in memorization is still important. Offhand, maybe if your kid wants to go to med school, I'm thinking I don't teach med, but perhaps I cannot. Maybe the teachers who are teaching the pre-med subjects might still want to do more traditional exams, and I cannot fault them for it. But parents, we know, in my classes, I'm fortunate, it is mathematics and psychology, so definitely it's very analytical. But I cannot say the same for other teachers, but I think we will take that into account. So thank you, parent, for that comment.
There were several parents who commented, no, and actually asked it. How can we know the schedules of our children, so that we could also monitor them, all right? I'll answer it on a technical level first, but then perhaps you could bring in some more insight to it. All the class schedules of your students are available to you via your ISIS accounts, all right? So all parents are given their ISIS accounts. That's AISIS, just to be just to be clear. No? When your children rather confirm their admission to the Loyola schools. So in other words, yes, you will be able to view the schedules yourselves. But I guess the question I'd like to direct to Ma'am Queen is, well, how much of monitoring is healthy, ma'am?
For college, I think it should not be as much compared to grade school and high school. But you parents, you're the ones who know your kids better. Some of your kids, even in high school, already have good study habits, and you don't need to monitor them as much. Some of your kids, even in college, still need more urging from you. So I cannot do a hard and fast rule because I think it should be up to the parents. Suppose you have 2 kids and the high school is more responsible than the college, then yes, even if it's weird, even if the college student doesn't like it, you may have to monitor slightly more. But parents, warning, teens want their privacy now. So the most important thing for you would be, right after this, go and have a conference with all your students, whether they're Ateneo or not. Tell them, okay, enrolled ka na sa Ateneo, ano ang schedule mo? Hindi naman kita titingnan, pero gusto ko ring malaman. Second, kung meron kang if you have 3 subjects, and 1 subject is more difficult, let's say it, maybe it's math. Maybe math is the most difficult subject. So parent, you can say this. If your math time is 9:30 to 11, my math time is 9:30 to 11, okay? So if your math time is 9:30 to 11, and you need to be online because then perhaps we can work out something. Because, and please tell me right now, so the parent, you can say, okay, I have a work meeting at 9:30 to 11, but my student needs this because math is his Waterloo. So I will give in to the student. I will make my work meeting 11 o'clock. Diba yung ganon? So you really have to do it right now. Because the students tell me parents are imposing. You have to do it today, tomorrow. Chris, will the parents have access to the ISIS?
Yes, ma'am, according to the registrar's office.
Hindi
Yes,
lang
ma'am.
student, diba? Pati parent, diba?
They have their own ISIS, ma'am.
Okay, parents, look now. The moment but they will have access only if they officially enroll? What is the process?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Well, once their child is enrolled, then
Meron na.
access will be granted.
Parents, okay, look through this one. Your child will not be enrolling in too many courses. This is only intercession. Maximum of 3, di ba, Chris? Maximum of 3? Maximum of 3. Okay. Look through the ISIS and then talk with your child. Among the 3 subjects, which one do you think we need to block it off for you? Not all 3 subjects will be equally difficult. Hindi yan. Matatalino ang mga anak natin. There might be just 1 subject wherein they really need the time. So block it off na. That's your sacrifice for the child. And it's only 1.5 hours, every day, and we won't meet every day anyway. And ako in my class, I will already tell them the days we can meet. Because I'll be meeting my class on Monday. So we will give you lead time, but parents, you have to discuss it right now. So sabi mo, okay, 3 to. Ano yung pinakamahirap? Ano yung kailangan mo? Yan na. All the other times, parents, you can use the computer or your other kids can use the computer.
Thank you. Again, there are several questions that are related, of course, to the upcoming intersession, but are not directly related to Dr. Queena's talk. I am not ignoring them. Alright, I'm saving them for later because some of our other speakers will be touching on them, particularly the ones on schedules, on LMSs, on the library, and all the other things. But I'd like to call maybe 3 more questions for Doc Queena before we bring in our other guests. Ma'am, one of our parents, there's just 3 in the family, so mother, daughter, and then husband, father, and a cat. Nice to know they have a cat.
Good, that's good. Well,
however, both parents are bound to be based abroad for their work. All right. And so the question is that while that might be an additional stressor for their child, maybe what is a way that what tip could we give to help their child adjust to this new normal while being technically independent, actually at the same time?
I need to know because our students are still minors, even if they're in college, even if they're 20. Wouldn't there be another adult in the house? There will be, diba? I would be a bit worried unless the child is in the dorm. The dorm, I'm okay. But if the child is alone in the house, medyo mas natatakot ako doon. Kasi stressor yan. Maraming natatakot kung mag-isa. Chris, mag-isa lang ba yung bata? Kasi kung ganyan, medyo natatakot ako.
It wasn't specified, ma'am.
Okay, I'll just.
But I assume that in their house, based on how the question was phrased, yes, she will have a cat though. I think that the child will be alone in the house.
Um, my major concern right now with the child being alone in the house is not even grades or learning. My major concern is anxiety, unless the child is used to being alone. If the child is used to being alone, okay. If this is the first time the child will be alone in this pandemic, I am more worried, and I, I'm more worried. I'm more worried about the child's anxiety rather than which will affect the learning performance. Okay, so yeah, I am hoping there might be a lola, maybe a lola. I'm hoping a lola, a lolo, uh, a helper, somebody else aside from a cat. No offense to cats, they're okay, but cats can be aloof. Um, uh, if there's somebody else, a lolo or a lola, the lola and the lola will have to be surrogate parents. The parent will have to be, even the helper may have to be, the yaya will have to be a surrogate parent. Okay, how can you do to ease the transition? Use technology. The child it's something called separation anxiety, which happens in preschool, but it can hit again right now. So in the first few days, the parents, you will have to be online. You will have to Skype or Zoom your child maybe at a certain time, 7 p.m., 8 p.m. at night. Your child will have enough time. Your child will probably be scared, will be crying. So, yun. I am hoping, because separation anxiety is not forever, I'm hoping after a week or two, the child will be more accustomed and there will be the structure of school to keep the child busy. So that way, I think the loneliness and the adjustment will not be as bad. So this is a natural progression. Pero importante yung first week talaga. I would highly, highly recommend have a neighbor, I really cannot have a child. My own son is alone in another country. He's extremely mature. And he went to China on a school trip in grade 7 without us. He's very independent. But even with that, we Skype with him at least once a week. So, and my son is extremely strong. He told me with the other friends he had, iyakan talaga. So, parents, be prepared for this one. I know it is not fair. Kung pwede, don't go abroad at the same time. Can you stagger it, maybe? Kasi the shock of 2, tapos biglang wala eh. It's very abrupt. Kung pwede 2, tapos sometime, tapos 1, tapos meron ka ng neighbor, meron ka ng yaya, meron ka ng lola. Somebody the child can cry to. Chris, the other one, I know Gary and the guidance people are listening now.
Yes,
if possible, I would highly advise guidance. Can you take note maybe of this child? And then saluhin na natin kaagad. There should be a guidance person, diretso na sa child. Kung aalis na yung parents, kailangan to. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. So last 2 questions again for Doc Queena. I'll answer some of the questions which I know will not be tackled later, but are actually quite easy to answer. Some are saying online schooling will only be for the intersession and first semester, but some are also saying that it will be for the whole year, whole school year. Right now, what we are projecting really is that it will be mostly, not purely online for the intersession, and then maybe some sprinkles of on-site in the first semester for the laboratories. We will of course update you as we have more concrete news about the second semester. All right, it's also very difficult to project these things and commit when there are a lot of external factors. But related to that, Ma'am Queena, and as faculty, I address this to you as faculty. How are faculty being trained to do all these online teaching? Are our faculty prepared?
Yes, the faculty are prepared, some more than others. the faculty are prepared. For one thing, many of the faculty already are very savvy online to start with. For the second one, Ateneo SALT, Father Johnny Go and his team have been conducting for the past 2 months something called Adaptive Design for Learning, which I think, Chris, you talked about a while ago. So faculty are given modules, tasks, etc., handheld, going through all live sessions, videos, links, etc. So I think Ateneo faculty, more than most universities, I can say this with extreme confidence, are actually very prepared. So parents, we're Ateneo pa rin eh. So even if this pandemic took us by surprise, we are very, very prepared. Okay, I'm seeing a private chat, private to me by a student. Sorry, I told him I'm going to do this. Okay, so I'm sorry. This is a group of students from the sciences who begged me this morning to do this. So Chris, I think I will have to nagpa-private chat kasi kami ngayon. Sabi niya sa akin, Ma'am, why are you not talking about this? Okay, so yes. On the topic of this one, on the school and are the teachers ready? Okay, this is what the students want. This is what has been circulating in the chat groups of students for the past few days, and I'm not happy this is circulating. So parents, I need to clear the air. I think the admin, Chris, has to clear the air also with this one. So this one was, sabi ng mga estudyante, some of them who are still hesitant about enrolling, so they said they haven't paid. Okay, so Chris, marami pala haven't paid. I'll just say it out loud now. One, sabi nila kasi, their questions are they can they only, one is, first is the Coursera question. Ma'am, we can also get naman the same content with Coursera, which is only $50. Why is it we have to go to Ateneo pa? Okay, second, ito, nasa private chat ako ngayon. They're saying, second is, Ma'am, anyway, the teachers are saying they won't meet us. Doon ako nagalit. Parents, it is not true. Again, you can quote me. It is not true that the teachers are not going to meet the students. Parents, no. I will have to clear the air. The reason why we are encouraged to do mostly non-live is not because we're not motivated or whatever. No, we're not. It's because we are worried that some students, especially the scholars, will not have the bandwidth to go live. So that is why we have to make sure that the resources are also available for download and for printing. But students, I actually got mad at the students this morning when they told me this, because it's going around, Chris. The students are saying, teachers are saying that they are not going to meet them anyway. So why do they even want to go to Ateneo? And why do they just do Coursera? That is totally not true. In fact, I'm going to talk about the math department. Teachers are already meeting the students. In the math department, we have been meeting, we have one live class every week. Okay? Aside from the live class, we have a video class every week posted on YouTube. Aside from that, we have PDFs of the modules given to students. It is not true that teachers are not going to meet their students. We have been meeting our students since June. So that's not true. So please tell, and the other one, can the students pick and choose? No. You enrolled in Ateneo, you cannot only choose the courses you want. There's an Ateneo core curriculum, that's why you came here in the first place. Our core curriculum is important. You cannot just say, I want to do this because this is for my major and for the others. No, you cannot. We're not Coursera. Coursera, you can pick and choose. Right now, I know, Chris, in the primer, it says, nasa primer din yan kasi malaking tanong to eh. If you're going, if you do not want, if you only want one subject and the others are not, I think hindi pwede yata, you have to file a leave. So you have to continue with your normal subjects. So you can choose, this is what you can choose, parents. Your kids can choose the professor. Your kids can choose the schedule. Your kids can choose the time. But your kids cannot, your kids can choose the elective. Di ba, Chris? Elective pwede. But your kids cannot choose the required subjects. Those are the subjects of the curriculum. And as Dr. Francisco told me a while ago, because we were confronting this problem, we cannot give you a diploma if you only pick and choose the subjects you want. So parents, we are very kind, but you have to understand us here. So that's the thing now. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Queena. I'd like to correct, to clarify a statement I had mentioned early on, and I'd like to thank Dr. Tolosa for putting in the answer there. The intersession, so the class is happening this July and August, and the first semester, the classes that will be held from August till December will be fully online. Okay? So thank you, Dr. Tolosa, for clarifying that for me. And so there are a number of questions related to that now. But as a last question to Ma'am Queena, maybe we'll end with a little, with sort of a more positive note. No? Developmentally, this stage, our students, the children of our parents here, need that peer interaction for a more, developed personality, wellness, and all of that. But in an online setting, how can they get that kind of, I guess, closeness or healthy intimacy with their peers if they're all, scattered and virtual?
Actually, many of them are doing it now, Chris. I mean, yung peers, walang problema yan. I think many of
Let's
them...
tell the secret to the parents of what the kids do.
Oh, yeah, actually, parents, they do many things you don't know about. But parents, I wouldn't worry so much because my students, okay, please give your students space to chat with their kids, to chat with their friends. Do not, okay, ito yung nakakatawa. Parents, please, maybe you can lurk. Some of the students are nicer. They will allow you to lurk. Parents, please do not comment publicly when you're on your kid's account. Don't say way to go or we're proud of you, because even if they like it, they feel embarrassed. They tell me that. But it's a small thing. Some of them like it. Okay, others. Many of the projects which are going to be done in class are going to be group works. I already have a group work, which means I will require students to actually interact with each other. And I know when they interact, it is not just about math, but they will also make cuento, etc., etc., etc. So we will be providing natural ways for students to interact not just with their barkada, but with new classmates they might make online. I would not worry so much about it, but parents, the ones I'll be worried about would be, the students we're worried about would be the students who are alone in the room and who don't even want to talk to their normal barkada. So if you know some of their barkada and you see that they're moping, you can ask them, hey, have you talked to Susan lately? Kung sinabi niya, no, I don't even feel like talking to her, that could be a warning sign. So please refer to guidance, to Gary, Faustino, and his team for that one.
Thank you, Doc Queena. At this point, typically you would be receiving the applause. I'm sure our parents and our guests are giving them to you. For now, we'll give you hearts, Korean hearts.
Thank you.
Yes, no, and of course, Doc Queena will be staying on as for the rest of the session, but we'll now bring in, well, you could, of course, also take a break. I know how passionate you can be with all your talks. Have a glass of water, ma'am. So there were a lot of questions. Thank you, ma'am.